Can you stop talking like you're 50? You're so weird, for God's sake. You are not a philosopher. If you keep this up, you are going to sound like my granddad. And guess what? He's dead. Ooh, did that wake you up? Imagine how that would have felt if you received such a comment from someone in your family or a relative perhaps, or in my case, one of your closest friends. Whew, what an awakening for me. But surprisingly, however, the term weird is not one that I'm completely foreign to. Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters and guests, have you ever felt out of place? Like something's a little off in the noggin? That you're somehow different from what people call normal? I certainly have. Because just like what that friend said, I've been called weird all throughout my life. But I argue that from the stories that I'm about to tell you, you might just be a little weird too. Flashback all the way to a tiny version of me, bold cut name tag suit the wrong way, and very naive. I was in a Chinese primary school, ladies and gentlemen, and being in a Chinese medium school meant that everyone around me spoke Mandarin fluently. I was not in my element and found myself surrounded by people who spoke the language 10 times better than I ever could. When teachers asked me questions in Mandarin, I would instinctively answer in English. Unsurprisingly, the label of weird came by quite quickly, and I was ostracized by my peers and portrayed as that wannabe foreigner who only spoke English. Sounding like a foreigner didn't help my case either, as I was heavily influenced by the shows and cartoons that I grew up with. For instance, have you heard of a yellow sponge that sounds a little like, yeah, I sounded like that. Yeah, I sounded like that. Because no one told me that I was, one, not supposed to sound as animated as that, and two, not supposed to reply in English. Surprisingly, I managed to graduate from that school with good results, albeit I was the first one out the door on graduation day. But as you can see, the younger me was weird for not behaving like everyone else. And maybe you are weird like that too. Ugh. Progressing into high school, my interests took an even weirder turn. Ladies and gentlemen, I went to an all-boys school this time. Boys in the audience, which one of you likes sports? There's one. And now, as most people know, boys are stereotypically sporty, muscular, and sometimes relatively rough too. So while some of the boys were busy working out in the gym or playing basketball after school or pummeling each other into the classroom windows because this guy touched that guy's girlfriend, guess what I was doing? Ladies and gentlemen, I was reading poems from Paulo Coelho, Shakespeare, literature, and I was writing letters. What is wrong with you, Gordon? Well, to be frank, nothing. Everything felt right to me, as I was truly fascinated by the intricacies of literature. I even tried to speak Shakespearean English. For instance, away, you 3-inch fool! What kind of inches I'm referring to, I'll let you decide. Now, my interest in literature earned me an A in the exams. But did that come at a cost? Of course it did. The majority of the class who liked cars, girls, and basketball called me the weirdo. I was once again unable to interact with the majority. So as you can see, it was apparently wrong to have weird interests. And maybe thou art weird like that too. But Gordon, these experiences were when you were younger. You're older now. So are you still weird? Well, university had the answer. University touts itself as the place for you to explore and discover your passions and interests. And that's exactly what I did. Unlike the conventional student who reads a book, studies the syllabus, and that's it, I was involving myself in Toastmasters, music, event management, volunteering, teaching. I even had brushes with romance. Love you, darling. My adventures even saw me getting called out in class, with a certain popular student saying that my antics creeped him out. My reaction was 2 words. Who cares? I was having way too much fun being everywhere at once and meeting so many different people with different backgrounds and different opinions. Did they think I was weird? No. Those interactions were stimulating. They were fun. Something else that I noticed about these opinions was that they were all different. And despite differing from the norm, they weren't always called wrong. Rather, new theories and discussions were sparked, fueled by pure curiosity. It was here that I learned that being weird or having a different opinion towards things was not a sin and was actually the unique portrayal of how a person's mind works. In this space, I was not as odd as I thought I was. I wasn't behaving oddly. I wasn't liking weird things. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't wrong. I wasn't weird. And guess what? Neither are any of you. Ladies and gentlemen, in the olden days, weird meant having the power to control fate. And from this, we learn that being weird is being you, the most authentic version of you. It is only when you are weird, you are fully embracing your identity and your fate. Whether or not people accept you, that's not within your control. Don't let some screaming friend or anyone's opinion change your weirdness. Just be weird. Contest chair.